everyone, and welcome to the new episode of the tutorial series on MCBuild, the auto-building Minecraft client. This time we're taking a closer look on parametric builds. There's the kind of structures that are usually made of a single material and have the shape and size defined by parameters. We're going to see what is available and also what you can use them for. First type of command we already seen in the previous videos a lot. It's the floor. The format for this command is build floor followed by the size. The size is, let's say, 6 by 3 blocks, which means 6 to the right and 3 to the front. And as the next parameter you can specify the material. So here, for example, stone. Or I can just emit the material, in which case MCB will assume whatever is holding, whatever you are holding in your hands you want to build it. So let's say let's place this structure, and you can see 6 by 3 meters. You can simplify this command a little bit. If your floor is going to be square, you can just specify one number. Let's say build floor 5. And then it knows you want to build a floor that is 5 by 5 meters. So here you go. So of course, building floor is not just for building some kind of structures. You can use them for everyday tasks, like let's say we can fill this hole left after a creeper blast by saying build floor. We can specify just some big number, 50 by 50. It doesn't matter, we just want to cover this entire area. Or you can use it for some kind of landscaping, flattening the land and so on. So we can reissue the command to fill another layer. Or we can simply repeat the placement using the command build place. So now we can simply place the same thing again. So you can see how easy it is. The floor might be not just some solid blocks. MCB is also capable of placing water, for example. So let's say if we want to fill in this little pool with water, we can do it with command build floor. Again, we can specify some larger size, like 10 by 10 meters, water. And I had a couple of water buckets in my inventory, and MCB knows that they are to be used for creating water blocks. Just keep in mind, at the moment you cannot really specify this just by holding a water bucket. If you say, let's say I want to build a floor 10 without specifying material but holding a water bucket. At the moment MCB does not understand that, but I will fix that in one of the future releases. It's because the water blocks and the water buckets are different items, so we need to explain that. You can use it for unusual things as well. For example, you can plant crops with it. We can do this with build floor. Let's say 4 by 10 meters, 4 to the right and 10 to the front, made of wheat. Again, it's the same issue as with the water. You need to specify explicitly what kind of plant do you want to put there. But MCB knows that you want to use seeds to plant the wheat plant. So as you see, you can do this automatically. For other crops, you might need to look up what exactly are the named. For example, if I want to plant potatoes, I believe it was potatoes. Potatoes is the proper name for it. So MCB also understands that you need a special type of block underneath it, so it won't attempt to plant anything on simple ground or whatever. It understands that it needs the farmland beneath it. It's also other interesting thing you can do is outer building bridges to walk on or just fix holes on your way. Let's say it's useful for nether travel if you travel in a tunnel and there might be some holes on your way and you don't want to fall in them. You can auto fix this road for you. For that I'm making build floor with just one, and let's say the length is 1000. So this will be like a bridge extending forward for 1000 blocks. So right now I have safe walk activated, so I won't fall down and I can just walk forward and auto place blocks as a bridge underneath my feet. You can even activate auto walk on something and do this completely autonomously. Another command very similar to floor is rectangle. It is technically the same floor, but you will build only the border of it. So you can say build rect. The format is the same. We specify the size. Let's say I don't know, 6 by 9, and it will place only the border. What you can do, for example, with it, you can easily build animal pens. We have some fence here, and we can just specify build rectangle 10 out of fence. And here you go, you can quickly build some animal pen. Another similar command is build wall. Let's say the syntax is similar, build wall, and the next parameter is the size. The size, again, let's say it's the length of the wall extending to the right, let's say 20 blocks, and the height of the wall, so let's say 4 blocks. And then you can also specify material just with like with the other commands. So again, the pivot block will be the leftmost to the bottom block, and you're going to build to the right and up. So one thing you might notice is that yeah, you're still restricted to where you can place blocks, so maybe you will have to jump to build this fourth block on top. And otherwise it's just auto building itself. Okay, now I'm out of materials. Discs and rings. You can obviously build circular structures. We already saw it in the first episode. The syntax is, if you want to build a disc, is disc, and then you need to specify diameter. Let's say we want to build a disc of diameter 9, and we're placing it. So unlike the other structures, the pivot block for the disc will be not at the left nearest corner, but in the center. Obviously it's more convenient in most of the cases. So let me mark it with a piece of fence. So, and you see we have built a disc diameter 9. Now, another unusual thing about the discs and rings also is that the diameter you specify is actually not an integer number. You can specify a fractional number, and MCBuild will not build the fractional blocks, but it will try to give you the nearest approximation of this diameter. So let's say if you want to build another disk with a diameter 8.5 meters on top, it will still be symmetric. Let's see. But it will have a slightly less diameter than the previous one. So if we just keep reducing the diameter like this, let's say the next one is 8, we can build a cone shape structure layer by layer like this. So you see the diameter is reducing itself, but the disks generated will still be symmetric, and they will still be centered around the same pivot block you're placing. The command for the ring has exactly the same format. Let's say you can say ring. Let's make a bigger one, ring 13, and build it somewhere. Here you go. And obviously, like with all other commands, there's the parameter specification for the last parameter is going to be the material. We can also explicitly specify material, or just specify it implicitly by holding it in our hand. Now you might notice something. What if I want to build a disk with a diameter which is an even integer? Let's say build disk 6, and I'm placing it at this pivot block. Let me mark this position. I put a piece of fence here. This disk is not really what you would have wanted, because it's symmetrical and it's actually 7 blocks across. It's because by default the disk and ring built are centered around the pivot block. What do we need to do if we want to get a true disk of diameter 6 that expands exactly 6 blocks across? Well, there's an option for that, and let me show it to you. We need to specify a special toggle option, -E. -E stands for edge, and as you see, the command now has a response disk diameter 6 and edge, which means it is now not centered around a single block. Let me place it here and mark it immediately. It's no longer centered around this pivot block that we placed, but actually around this corner between the 4 blocks. So the pivot block will be a little bit closer and a little bit to the right of the actual center. But this will produce now a proper disk of an even diameter. Next thing we can try is ball and sphere commands. So syntax is, as you might expect, build ball, and again you need to specify the diameter. Let's say the diameter 9, and again the material you want to build with. In this case we're just emitting it and building with gold blocks that I'm holding in my hand. Now building blocks, building balls might be a little bit inconvenient because they also extend up and fill the whole volume. So let me quickly introduce you to a useful command called build limit, which will prevent us from placing any blocks that are above our feet level, so we can build the structure layer by layer. We will take a closer look at this command and other commands that will help you building structures more effectively in one of the future videos, but for now just take it as it is. Let's build the next layer. And again the next layer. Every time I'm issuing build while standing at a certain height, it will simply enable the next level of the structure to build. So, and I have also bound it to I also made a key bind. I bound it to the key L. You can say it's build limit, or this is the short form, build li. So I can easily issue the command to build another layer by pressing L. So, and the next level. And the next level. Oh, okay. It's already done. So as you see, we have built a ball. Well, since the center of the ball is the pivot block, it sort of extends into the ground a little bit. This is something that we did not build, but otherwise you can easily build the balls with it. And also obviously the diameter, just like with the discs and rings, is a fractional number. You can specify some other fractional number, and MCB will create the closest approximation of this diameter. And again, the same issue as with the rings and discs. If you want to build a true ball, or let's try the sphere. Sphere is simply the hollow ball. Let's say we want to build a sphere of diameter 16. Let's see what happens. Okay, started building something. Let's pause it a little bit and activate a preview. You can see the same issue. A sphere of diameter 16 would be actually 17 blocks across, because the center of the sphere is a block. But we can easily fix it using the same -E switch we just saw in with the disk and ring commands, which will make it the true center of the sphere be on a corner between 8 blocks. So when I put it and preview it, now our sphere would have a true diameter of 16 blocks. It will be symmetrical. So if you want to build something, some balls on spheres or discs or whatever of even size, you should use the -E switch if you want to achieve the best results. The next parametric build I'd like to show you are the stairs. You can build them using build stairs. And again, you need to specify the size. In this case, it's the width, comma, and the number of levels, or the number of steps. Let's say 4 by 7. And again, the next parameter would be the material, or you can also specify it just by holding it in your hand, like with most other commands. Now you might have noticed something. We're building these steps, but we are also placing a single block beneath them. This happens automatically to provide you with some kind of support for your steps, so the blocks stay connected and you can easily place them. So by default you will see there's just one row of blocks being built underneath the stairs, but you can control it with a switch option. For example, you can say build stairs. Now we are holding brick and we use parameter -f, which means now you can see in the response from the command we're having the full base. Previously we had the minimal base. So if we start building now, then we have full row of blocks being placed underneath the step. So this is how it would look like. And of course, if you don't want to do this, you can omit it with -n. In this case we do not have any base, but then you will have to place some blocks on your own to continue building. So it is merely for your convenience. Now, one interesting thing is that if you are using a material to build the stairs, such as stair blocks, it will automatically, let me use the -f, they can be used for building as well. It will automatically place them in the right direction, so the stair extends up and to the right and up from you. And you might notice the base blocks are not the stairs blocks. Instead, MCB has selected a suitable block for the base, in this case birch wood planks. And well, if you for some reason do not want to do this, you can also specify the -e switch, in which case the same type of block will be used for the base and for the stairs. So here you see, for example, it started using the same base as the main stairs. When you're working on a large and tall structure on survival, sometimes it's useful to have a scaffolding standing right next to it, so you can work on a wall or something. And this is our last parametric structure for today. Build scaffolding, or scaff for sure. The parameters are the size, it's the width, how many blocks to the right, and how many floors does it have. So now, unlike other structure we saw today, this will be always built, or by default it will be built out of the cheapest material available, out of dirt. You can specify material if you want to, but you need to do this then explicitly. So for example, you can build it out of planks, but if you omit it, even if you're holding planks, it still will be dirt blocks. So how does it look like? Technically it's just building these floors out of dirt and a little stairs right next to it, so you can easily access all the floors. So here, for example, the next floor, and again a little staircase right next to it. I get the idea how it looks like. There is an alternative design for scaffolding. Let me show it to you, that you can activate by using -L switch. This is a design that uses ladder block instead of the dirt stairs as in the other case. In this case, we're building just floors and the block of dirt for easy access to the ladder, and the access between the floors is via ladder. Let me mill it. So this is how it's gonna look like. Okay, that's it for today's episode. We took a look at the parametric structures available with MCB, what kind of parameters they take, and what you can use them for besides just building something. Please take a look at documentation as well. After you have installed MCB, you should be able to find the docs in HTML format in one of the subdirectories. And there you will find more detailed explanations and examples for parameters and options. And in the next episode, we will take a look at the available commands for build plan manipulation. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. Sorry for the slow releases, and see you soon.